Hello, everybody. It is awesome to be here. It is time to stamp. And this is my favorite day of the week. Today we are going to be stamping with the Around the Bend bundle, which I hope you love it as much as I do. It is a fabulous set of dies. To me, they're the star of the show in this bundle, and the stamps are the supporting characters, as usually it's kind of reversed, but I think, yeah, for this one, that's what I'm gonna say. The dies are the stars of the show. Kat, awesome to see you here this morning. It's always fun to have you along. And hello, Mama. My mom has popped on as well. So there's 4 of you. So let's officially begin with good Thursday morning and welcome to Seeing Ink Spots Backstage Pass and Technique Time for the month of January. This is my favorite class of the month because this is where we take a deep dive into a bundle or maybe a standalone set or a collection in the catalog, and we really become good friends with the stamps and the dies, and we kind of get to know them way better than just kind of making one card. So Lori Healy, awesome to have you here. I'm not sure who else is here. I can kind of see the names pop up, but I don't see them all the time. So do be sure to pop in and drop your name in the comments and let me know, let everybody who's here know where you're from. It's kind of fun. Jacqueline, good to have you. I tell you, Jacqueline's from Michigan. Anyhow, so yeah, just give a shout out where you're from, and maybe if you thought about getting this stamp set before you maybe saw it was going to be for Technique Time, what are your thoughts on this set? Just curious. So hello, Kayleen. Awesome to see you here. I hope that you can rejuvenate through today's class and have a little bit of some calm time. Anyhow, I'm thinking of you, friend. All right, I'm gonna switch my camera around here and we're gonna begin. All right, here comes the hand. I know you love it as much as I do. Okay, so let me just kind of wiggle some things down a little bit, crank it back so that it doesn't slip. And there you have it. Okay, so today's class, like I said, it's Technique Time. But let's see what's coming up in the near future here. Coming up, we have next week, let's see, where did I put it? I thought I had it here. I did, but I don't. So next week we have Paper Pumpkin. I don't have an ad for that, but I do have a Paper Pumpkin class a week from today. And then 2 weeks, our Use It Up class for February. And so if you have purchased from me this month, not the class, but if you've made a purchase on the host code, you will have that Use It Up kit in your class kit. So some of you have the Technique Time and the Use It Up kit. So you can see we are using up the Country Floral Lane DSP, and I'm going to be using the stamp set and the punch. And you don't have to have the punch. You can do it with a pair of scissors, but I am going to use this one. You could also bring on another heart punch that you might have. I think that would be a great idea. So bring that along. People have asked me how I did a couple of the techniques on my artisan projects. So I will be going over those techniques. Some of that dimensional pleat folding and some of the hearts that I made dimensional, how to do that. So we're gonna have some fun for that class there. And then we have the best time of the year. We have Studio Ink Spots. And Studio Ink Spots comes around 2, sometimes 3 times a year. This is a stamp camp. This is a 4-day stamp camp. We'll start out with game nights and all kinds of prizes. The very next day, I'll ship your kits to you, and we will have 3 days of stamping. In those 3 days, we will have 4 presentations, 4 stamp classes, mystery stamping, swap and share. So there's all kinds of goodness happening there. We will be focusing on the Sentimental Park bundle, as well as items from that suite collection that are really quite pretty. And I've been working on it. We've got some great fancy folded cards and just some beautiful, beautiful things we'll be making with this bundle collection. There are 4 options. There's the everything option, the full kit and swag option. There's just the kits, and then there's the online version. So you've got 4 choices. And so you can find that information on my blog. But I think I will put a little shout out to all of you with a link to that because I've had several people asking me for it. So that's coming up. Don't miss it. It's going to be a ton of fun. And none of this, you guys, will be here in the Backstage Pass. It will be in its own Facebook group. So you won't see any of that here. Okay. Also coming up, looks, I do have the Upstyle class for March. So next week is the Key to My Heart. And so, but in March, we will do the Sunshine and Smiles, Upstyle Your Paper Pumpkin. And I just wanted to put a shout out for the little add-on dies. It's $6. If you're a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you can purchase them. They are available now. I would get them now before they sell out. And it's going to be cute. I've got mine already. So there's that. Now, if you don't end up getting them, you have the universal die cutters, right? All right. I also want to give just a real quick what's coming up because a lot of you have asked, what are you going to be using later on? So Taco Fiesta is coming up in March. That will be the Use It Up kit. By the way, if you sign up for the Studio Ink Spots Use It Up kit for March is part of that as a gift. Okay, so that's coming up. That's going to be fabulous. Also in March, the focus bundle will be Desert Details. You guys, this is gorgeous. This sweet collection is beautiful. The dies are fantastic, which by the way, I'm probably going to be using these in the Taco Fiesta class because they just, they lend themselves to that stamp set perfectly. Also, way in April, I'm just putting it out there because people are asking, Sweet Citrus will be the focus bundle in April. So, lots of information there coming up. If you have any questions, give a holler. I can let you know that information. Okay, it's time to stamp. The best part of the day. The stamping part of the day, right? Best part of the class. Hello, Alicia. Hello, Kathleen. Awesome to have you guys here. Do be sure to, put a shout out in the comments where you're from if you're stamping along today. And I apologize. I totally have everything ready and I didn't load any of the pictures for class or any of the supplies. Hello. We're going to go with it and it's all going to be loaded after class because I do have all of that done. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyhow, so let's begin. I do want to say, if you have a heat tool, go grab that because we might want that to kind of speed the process along on some of our projects today. So we have some, oh my gosh, this class turned out so awesome. I just really, really, really like this class. I love the colors. They're totally, it was just kind of a fluid, organic process. I let the papers kind of tell me where to go, and that's what we did. So this is going to be our first card today. And this first card is really pretty. It is a fancy fold card, and as you untie it, okay, you have this cool kind of fold, and we're going to pop out, and it's going to open up. We have a nice hidden pocket here where you can tuck things in. I'll just kind of show you that, yes, it's a pocket card. All right. Julie Mercer, Beltramo, she's in the house, and so is Terry. I saw Terry. Antondra's here as well. Awesome. Good to have you. Okay, so let's begin with this card. Now, I did post on Monday homework, but I didn't post all of the die cutting. Usually I do, but I really want to, I needed to do these along with you to give you some tips and how we were going to align things. So some of the things you already know, you have some of the smaller pieces, but you don't have some of the dies that we are doing. So let's pull out what we need for this project. Let me grab my packet here. So my packet is open because I pulled out some of the pieces. so that I could do some of that prep work. Okay, just get rid of that. So the pieces we are going to need for this first card, let me just kind of move this one out of the way for just a bit. We're gonna need everything from fresh freesia up, okay? Everything from fresh freesia up, okay? And then let's go to the back of the kit where we have our DSP. Now this DSP is from the pack called Flowers and More. And this is a host pack of paper. And this is just a sampling of it. We're gonna use the rest of this packet of paper for the Taco Fiesta, okay? Because the colors are perfect for Taco Fiesta. Okay, so this one here, we're gonna use these two pieces right here. So those are the pieces you're looking for. So now we can kind of take the rest of this stack and set it aside. So here is the first Flowers and More. So this piece of paper really struck me. And I do want to say that the reason I selected this paper is because if you look at these daisy type flowers, I just felt like they were really reminiscent of the daisy and the flowers that are in the Around the Bend die. So that's where I kind of pulled my inspiration to kind of bring everything together. And then obviously for this card, our color palette is that Fresh Freesia and the Starry Sky, Orchid Oasis. You know, we're really working in an in-color palette here. So that's our paper. The back side of this is that crazy Parakeet Party stripe. And then this piece here is Freesia and Starry Sky. The back side of this is a fun kind of dashed stripe. Okay, see how this would work for that Taco Fiesta really, really well? Okay, so those are the pieces we're gonna use for this. Let's do a little bit of trimming while we are here, okay? The first trim we're going to do is to take our 4x6 and we're just going to cut this down to 4. It's already 4, right? And then now let's take it to 5 1/4. So real simple there. 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, save that. You never know when we might need it. Okay. All right. That's our first cut. Now, we're not going to cut this one with the trimmer. We're actually going to cut this one with the dies in the set. So, and we're also going to be cutting our card base with the dies in the set. So, let's do this one first. Let's do this one. This is easy. Get out the, this is a cool die. It's just kind of a nice bend around the bend. And it's stitched. And we're going to take this and you're going to lay this, and it doesn't really matter, just kind of eyeball. But this paper to me is directional. You know, to me that is upside down. So make sure that your paper is facing the right direction, okay? And we're going to give it a trim. And I'm coming up just about, oh, I don't know, maybe 1.5 inches, okay? So we're gonna give that a cut right in our Big Shot, your Stampin' Cut and Boss machine, whatever you're using. So just go ahead and cut that one right there like that. And the cool thing is, the reverse side of that that's left over is going to be on that page as well. It's gonna be the lining to our pocket and our page. And come on. My plates are not cooperating with me right now. Okay, there we go. Trisha, I see that you've popped on. Hello, welcome to Technique Time. Okay, so there's our first cut. Look at that, isn't that kind of cool? Now what we're gonna do is this piece, we're gonna flip over and this will be on the inside of our card. So our designer series paper is ready to go. Now let's work a little bit on the rest of the pieces that are here in this card packet or this kit for this particular card. We have a Fresh Freesia card base. And this card base, for those of you cutting your own, and let me just kind of digress here for a second. I do have a PDF version that includes all the cutting measurements. So you could have prepped ahead of time. And that version is available. It is a $12 class. And it has, so you would have had, those people who bought that way got theirs a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago rather. So anyways, this piece is 5.5 by 11, and I've scored it at 4 1/4 and 8.5. Okay, so this piece here, it actually goes this direction, is the way the card opens. It's a little bit tricky, but it's kind of cool, kind of different. Okay, so we're gonna cut this piece. We're gonna kind of hold off on this for right now. We're gonna cut this piece first. And I'm gonna grab this die here. And so this is a cool, again, we've got a nice stitched edge. It's got a nice fun curve. And I'm going to lay this piece just like this. So I've got this edge right up to there, and I'm just kind of eking this, you know, I'm not going like that. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but you can see I'm kind of just, you know, evening it out. So it kind of, you know, that's the cut we're going for. Now to do this, you're gonna have to go in like this and go through your cut and emboss machine. So I'm gonna cut that one right now. I know we don't normally do a ton of die cutting in the middle of class here, but I just felt these dies were a little bit different and warranted that we work together on some of them. So this is the first cut we're going to do for this. Okay, so I'm just running this one through. And I would recommend going back and forth on this one, just because it has a, there's a lot of holes in there. And I actually went back and forth twice because I really wanted to get that all out. Now I'm gonna kind of hold this on here for just a second. And, oh, I didn't bring my little brush. Oh, shoot, Queen. I was going to kind of use my, my brush, that the little sweepy brush that gets all these pokey things out. Would have made it just a little bit easier, but we'll just kind of go through. Another way that you can do these faster than what I'm doing is these easily come out if you actually cut with your die face up. But I didn't do that. I was being stupid. So, Marcia, hello. Good to have you here. Like I say, I should have poked all these out ahead of time. I mean, should have brought my little sweeper. There's always something I'm missing, right? All right. Gives us a chance to chat. And for those who need a little catch-up time, here it is. Okay, now this is kind of fun little confetti you could put in a shaker card if you wanted, which would be a completely different use of this particular set of dies. Okay, so we'll just sweep our trash over here to the side. And now in your card pack, okay, so the card goes this way, right? In your card pack, the piece that has the ribbon wrapped around it, that piece there, we are going to set inside here. And now I don't want you to, it's not going to fit all the way to the end. Don't worry about that. But I want you to get it in there, and we're going to give it a glue, just a little bit of glue, but I want you to move it out as far as you can. So we want as much hanging off as possible, but we want to be sure that all of the holes have been lined with the basic white, okay? So let's glue that in place. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, so I'm gonna do just a little bit of glue in here. And do not go glue heavy on this. Go very light, okay? So I'm gonna do just a little bit of glue right in here, okay? And the reason I'm saying go light is because, and if you get a little like in the holes, just clear it out, because you're going through your cut and emboss machine and you don't want that glue to come oozing through. Okay, you just need enough to kind of tack things down in place. So I've just done a little here and there. Okay, again, bring this in and make sure all of the holes are covered and you have as much hanging out as you possibly can. Okay, now I'm going to go through and make sure I don't have adhesive coming through anywhere. And I can feel I have it on my fingers, so I'm just going to do a quick cleanup on my adhesive remover square here. And the reason you don't want that adhesive coming through is it will come through onto your cutting plates, and you don't want that. And I think I have a little bit right here, so I'm going to clean that up. Okay, come on. There we go. It's gone now. Okay, set this aside. Now we're going to bring another die in, and this die here, this is the scallop die that fits this curve, okay? But before we cut this, we're just gonna kind of line it up, and I want you to give yourself plenty of room here, okay? Just give yourself, and just kind of make sure it's lined up and where you want it to be. This is where Post-it notes would really come in handy. And I usually have some in my cart here that I wheel in and out, but I didn't bring them. So, but look at, I have all this garbage on here. I'm just gonna take my ruler and scrape all that off. Make sure that all of that little hanging stuff is not on your plate, because if you have one or two of those on, it leaves an indent in your paper, right? Okay, so here I'm gonna line this up. Okay. And I'm gonna bring this out a little bit further. My die is a little bit warped. I'm gonna bring it out a little bit further than my original because I wanna do some stamping in here. Okay, let's hope for the best. Maybe I'll put my top plate on and sandwich it in there. Yeah, this is where I think a, definitely a Post-it note or some temporary tape would come in handy. And I have little excess pieces hanging on that I don't want. Again, what I mean by excess pieces are the little pieces from before, and they will emboss. So, okay, this is running through the machine, hopefully. Okay, I highly recommend getting some Post-it notes. I think this is the hardest cut we're gonna do today. Okay. But you can see why I wanted to do that with you, so that we knew how to line that up just right. But look how cool that looks. Okay, it gives me a perfect little kind of a nice, cool look right there. That the curves meet perfectly. Okay, so in your prep work, you had a 1/4 sheet of Starry Sky. And I had asked you to die cut the leaf die here, okay? So for that 1/4 sheet, let's just pretend that this is the Orchid Oasis. You are just gonna put that on. I kind of have to look at it this direction. You're just kind of setting it on like so and die cutting it. And this one, if you go back and forth, it cuts out beautifully. It's a really nice die cut. It goes through smooth. So that piece there is now going to come into our card base, and we're going to be covering this funny seam up. So that's going to go in there like that. But before we do that, I have a little bit of cleanup I want to do in here. I can see I have a little bit hanging over. So I'm just going to bring in you can use your trimmer, you can use your scissors, whatever you like, but I'm just going to clean that up just a little bit, because this kind of thing right there, well, it's okay. But I know how to fix it. So I'm going to come in here and just give that a little bit of a trim. Whoops. Let me go over just a little bit more. Yeah. So we just clean that edge up and get rid of that, okay? And it's still hanging over just a little bit, but you get the idea. Clean her up, okay? Now, there is a big, huge stamp in the stamp set here. And we're gonna put that, and look, it doesn't even fit on the block. It's so big. But we're not gonna need all of it, so not to worry if it hangs over the edge. But I do need to clean mine. But grab that image And let's do some detailing here. Okay, I'm just gonna clean this. Had a different color on there. Okay, so we've got a cleaned up stamp. And now with Parakeet Party, I'm going to, I have so many, there we go, fold it up, that's better. Okay, so I'm gonna ink up my image here. Kayleen, this isn't the biggest background block, but it's the, what letter is this? It is I. This is the I block. So, I mean, it's big. This is a big, big block. Okay, so now I need a piece of, I'm going to bring in this color right here. It's not going to show, but I need some contrast so that I can see the difference between the white and the white. You know, I often will do that. You'll see me do that a lot. Now, just take your stamp and kind of match the curve up and match those dots. Okay? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to take I have a napkin here. So I've done this a couple different ways. Let me just scooch this out of the way. I am just going to kind of remove, I just want the dots. Okay? I don't necessarily want this stripe. Now, you could stamp this ahead of time and tuck it in there. Whoops. Now I just gave a huff on the ink that was there. Huff on that. And let's get these dots right into those little scallops. Okay, and it takes a little bit of aligning, but if you look at it, the stamp completely matches the dots. Oh my goodness, look how cute that is. Okay, so it's a detail that I didn't put on my original. And then I thought, why didn't I use that stamp? And so there we have it. We did it for this card. But just play with it how you're going to do it. But you will find that the curve, the scallop on the dies are the exact same scallops that are cut on the stamp here. So it makes for lining it up really easy. Okay, subtle, subtle detail. Now that that's done, I can take my piece of Starry Sky and we can do a little bit of glue in here. Okay, a little bit of glue here. I want to make sure that it doesn't show, but this is going to come in here. I'm going to set that down. Okay, and that's going to peek out right down there. Okay, and then just kind of glue that in place. Okay, there we have it. We have I think the hardest part of the card was right here. And I have a little bit of, I'm gonna wiggle this down just a little bit. Okay, good. All right, so now since we're here, let's add this piece. But before we add this piece, okay, we are going to need to sandwich our ribbon. So here is our ribbon piece. And what we're going to do with our ribbon here is we are going to fold it in half and give it a little cut. Okay? So Lynn, welcome. Good to have you here. So cut your piece of Highland Heather ribbon in half. By the way, I picked this up once I decided that I was going to use this paper. This was in the clearance rack, and so I picked up the Highland Heather. It's a retired ribbon, but I thought it was so perfect for this set that we just had to do it. Okay, so for now, we are going to sandwich our ribbon under this piece of paper so that we can come back and tie it across the front, okay? So I'm going to use a little Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to kind of put it, and make sure that it's inside. And I'm just doing, several bits of it, okay? And now I'm going to put the ribbon, I'm going to tuck it in there so it catches, and let's see how high I have it on this one. Let's actually measure and see. It doesn't have to be exact, but from the bottom of the card, it's about 1.25 inches up. So if I just put my ruler here, 1.25 inches, it's right about there, Okay, now I don't always measure, I just kind of eyeball, but we have to do another one on the other side. So that way it will make them, that will make them nice and even. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of really burnish that on with my bone folder. Okay, and now I can sandwich that inside my designer series paper that's gonna cover that up. Okay, so add that to your... So this paper, this Flowers and More, it's a 48 piece of pack of paper. It is a host paper. So if you have a hostess order, you can get this pack of 48 pieces for $18. It is such an awesome deal. And it's a great paper if you love bold floral prints and things. Okay, there you have it. Our mechanics for the front is done, okay? Let's go ahead and work this piece too for just a second here. This piece here, before we glue it inside here and sandwich this piece of ribbon in, let's do a little stamping on this so we can put that in and then have our ribbon all set. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp "You Are a Blessing," and I'm going to stamp it at the bottom. You could do it up at the top if you'd like. That would be equally as cool. But let me show you why I decided to stamp it at the bottom. As you open this card, you have the bend of this curve, and so I wanted the "You Are a Blessing" to just kind of continue, sorry, let me get it into the view here, to continue that curve. So that's why I chose to put it at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to use Starry Sky. You could use Orchid Oasis too, but I kind of like the real intensity of this Starry Sky. So I'm just inking that up, and I guess it would help, actually. I need to kind of put this, I'm going to lay out this one, kind of know that it's going to be right about here. Let's bring this piece in. Okay. So my greeting, we get just a little bit more ink going, is going to come right about there. So now I know where my greeting is going to go. Okay. Give it a good, whew, that looks good. So I will find sometimes with the photopolymer stamps, I stamp them several times on scratch paper, and then I kind of even scuff them on my pant leg, and then they start to take ink a lot better. So now that I've used it a couple times, it's really looking good. All right, so the next thing I want to do with this is I'm going to give my, and I'm going to kind of move things out of the way. I'm going to use a Fresh Freesia Stamp and Blend. You could use your Aqua Painter and your Fresh Freesia pad, but I'm going to use my Stamp and Blend, and I'm just going to do a little bit of flicking, okay? Not a ton, just a little. And so let me bring that up so you can see I've just got a little there, and a little up there. I just wanted to break that stark white up just a little bit. But now that is ready to come into here. And we can get that going. Let me shut my pad before I wreck something. And we remember we're going to be about 1.25 inches up. So let me sandwich my ribbon in the paper. So I'm just adding a little bit of Stampin' Snail, Seal Plus. Let's get with the right time here. So about 1.25 inches up for my ribbon. That way this tail will meet with the other tail, and burnish it on. Get it on there nicely. And now you can sandwich your paper inside there. Okay, Lynn, she's catching up, and she is from Southern New Jersey. Okay, I don't know a whole lot about New Jersey. I've been there, but it's been a long time. It was a long time ago. Okay, and this piece is going to go in here. This is a 4 by 5.5, 5.25. So just kind of your layer that's just going to set in there. Okay, so now everything's coming together nicely. Okay, Jen is here with us as well. Okay, good to have you here also. So let's go back and do a little bit more stamping, and then we'll finish up the front, we'll finish up the inside, now that we have things kind of in the general vicinity of where they need to be. Okay, so I'm going to stamp the hello there. Hello there. Here's the image. And I'm going to do a little two-tone stamping here on this cute little circle here. This is the second to largest circle in the Stylish Shapes dies. And it's basic white, as you can see. And I have both Orchid Oasis and Starry Sky open. And what I'm going to do is ink up the hello with the Orchid Oasis. Okay, there's enough gap there that you don't need to mask that off, but if you want to, you can. And then I'll go in and get that there in the Starry Sky. Okay, tap, 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 tap. Being sure not to over squish your ink and have things kind of splurting out. This is going to stamp over to the right side. Okay, just like that. And as this lightens a little bit, you know, as the ink really kind of sits into the pores of that paper, you will see a difference between the hello and the there. Now we have another little bit of stamping on here. Might be a little bit harder to see, but I have the leaf images, these kind of cute little sprays. We're going to use this one right here. And I'm going to use Parakeet Party, and I'm going to stamp a couple leaves in here. One, I'm going to stamp, and you're going to go, it's just kind of a random spot for a leaf, but it's going to go there. And then we'll do another one, okay, down in here like so. Okay, so my other images are going to overlap, and it's just going to kind of be the stamping portion of the little bouquet that's going to be on the front here. Now, before we actually start to glue anything to this, I'm going to get my Freesia blend out again, and we're going to give this a good flick. Okay. A little heavier on this one than what I did on the inside, but I did that here as well. Okay, so we just got a nice bit of splattering going there. And let's put this on with dimensionals, and it's going to set right in there, okay? So, but when you put your dimensionals on, be sure that none of them are gonna be, you don't want them to show through back here, so you really kind of have to play it safe. Sometimes when I play it safe, I might do that by just adding a couple right there like that. That way I know they're not gonna go over, and then I'll put a couple over here on this side. Okay, peel that, peel these, and we'll add these on. Just like so. And what you want to do is, this is just kind of falling, and maybe I could be a little bit higher, but you want to definitely be just a little bit higher than where your ribbon. You want the hello there to still show up as your ribbon comes across. So that's kind of where you know where you're going to set this. Okay? All right. Now, in your prep work, you did some die cutting of some of these gorgeous, look at this paper. I was really surprised this paper was cardstock. I was thinking it was going to be like vellum, like they've had in the past, but it's cardstock weight. And so this paper, it's called Fine Shimmer, and it comes in fresh freesia, soft succulent, and gold. And it is gorgeous, you guys. It comes, you get 2 of each sheet. They're 12 by 12. They are in the new January to April mini catalog. This paper is awesome. I can't say it enough. I've used it a lot. I love it. So we're going to use these in this card here. We're also using some die cut. Whoops, I left one behind. Okay. You should have 3 of the smalls. Okay. Those were cut with the dies, and you should have 2 of the large daisy, one for the front, one for the inside. And we also have, I decided to use up, in the spirit of using it up, we are using up the In Color Glimmer paper. The In Color Glimmer paper is perfect with this Flowers and More stack of papers. It is just the absolute perfect addition. So we're going to use the In Color Glimmer, the little parakeet, for the center of the daisy. And then I have a couple pieces cut from Parakeet Party. Okay, we just did some of the dies from the around the bend here. We're just becoming friends with the leaves. Okay. Oh no, sorry, Kayleen. I'll be thinking of you. Sending you energy and prayers. She's headed to her father-in-law's house. He's not well, unfortunately. Also, for this card, the inside has some shaded spruce. So those are the last elements that we're going to need. So let's add these. I'm going to start with the daisy itself. That's kind of my anchor element here on this. So I'm going to add that with a dimensional. As always, I mean, it's kind of a given, right? Okay. And so I'm going to put that on. And so you can see that my stamped leaves are in just the right spot for that. And then I'm going to take a mini dimensional and put that right there. And I'm going to smash it as much as I can. I'm really kind of smashing it because it's almost more dimension than what we need. But we're going to add the little green center to the flower there. Cute, right? And let's add some of these leaves. And now I'm going to start to just use a little bit of glue on the tips here for this one. I feel like I'm in shadows today. Maybe pull another light on. Okay, so I've got one right in there. Okay, just kind of make sure that glue attaches. That's why I gave it a little push. This one, I'm going to put the glue on top. You're going, what? Because it's going to go under the circle. Okay, so this one is just going to come under here. And I'm doing that just to create some different dimension. Okay, that one's there. And this one. Now this one, there's two dies that are kind of longer like this that are similar. You could use either one. I just chose this one. They're both awesome. Little glue on that end. We'll tuck that right in here. Like so. Cute. I love it. I love it, love it. Okay, these two little guys, I'm gonna go in the tops here. One just above the H, kind of right in here like so. Might have to twist it around. Okay, so for me, I'm gonna trim this little, and you've seen me do that a lot. That way I can get it in just a little bit further. There we go. That's looking perfect. And then this one is going to set up in here. Again, this one's going under. This one's going under the big circle. Okay, right there. Okay, now I have these three cuties. Now I'm not going to worry if those little centers aren't popped out. I kind of like them in. I don't care if they're in or out. Okay. And I'm going to add the largest one right about here. Okay, and the next two, here's this one. Okay. That one's going to kind of play up in here a little bit. And then this last small one, this one is going to attach in here. Okay, but it's a little tricky on where you're going to put that dimensional because you don't really want it to show. So you kind of have to decide where you want it to go, but where it's going to go without showing your mechanics. So I'm going to put my dimensional right on the scallop and on that blue. That way when I turn it over, none of them show. Okay. And I might have wanted it a little bit lower, but I would rather it be there and my mechanics not show, okay? And it's still working in that triad that I like to work within. Okay, there is the front, and then this would tie shut, but we don't want to tie it just yet because we need to finish the inside. So the inside, not too hard. Let me just bring in my original here. If I mentioned, if you remember, we're gonna make that pocket. So let's make that pocket. We've already done the die cutting. And so what I'm gonna do is, the nice thing is you think, oh, well, how is it gonna, but you don't, we're gonna put one on the top and one on the bottom, and it will, because it was 6 inches long, it fits perfect. So glue this entire piece on and place it up at the top, just like you would a 4 by 5 1/4. So give yourself an even border on the tops and the 2 sides. Now this piece here, what I want you to do is we're going to put the glue on the 2 sides. So we're not going to put any glue in the main part of the paper or on the bend, just on the 2 straight sides and what will be the bottom. And now line your paper up. There you have it. Cool. Okay. But in the spirit of making fancy cards for technique time, we're going to really zhuzh up the inside. And so to finish up the inside, same deal here. We've got the fine shimmer fresh freesia flour. Ooh, that's a lot of F's. Okay. And that's going to set right in here. Make sure that dimensional doesn't stick anything down. This time, I'm gonna glue. I glued this one on the inside, just because that's gonna be a lot of dimension inside your card. So just do a little glue. Too much glue will take forever to set. Okay, and that to me is a lot of glue, so I'm gonna borrow a little bit of it for my shaded spruce leaf. So there's the center of that. And now this leaf is gonna come in, tuck right in there. Okay. So you could do that leaf or this leaf. You don't have to. You know, I had enough paper to cut both. I didn't use this one, so I'm not going to. And we have some hearts. So we cut hearts from the, we cut 5. The little die in the set here. This is the cutest die ever. Look at that, those 5 little hearts. So I've cut those 5 little hearts from a piece of sweet sorbet glimmer paper. So the sweet sorbet and the parakeet party that we're using on this card, all of the in colors are in one pack. The only thing that's not in the pack is the fine shimmer. But all these glimmers that have a little bit of a different texture that you're feeling in your kit, they're from one pack of paper, and they're in the annual catalog, and they're fantastic. Okay, so let's see where we're gluing these down. Let me get the ribbon out of the way. Okay, so I'm doing one up here in the corner. Looks like I have one hidden over here as well. So we're doing 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Here's what I find the easiest way to do this, is to just put a little dot of glue and just be sparing. It does not need to be a huge dot of glue. In fact, that one's pretty big. And I have one over here, so I'm just gonna do a dot of glue there. Okay, come on, there we go. That's a perfect amount. Take your pick tool, pick up the heart, and just set it right on top, okay? Easy as can be. Pick up your heart and set it right on top. Okay, so then I have 3 more down here by the greeting. I'm gonna just clean up the tip of my glue there. Looks like I have one here, tiny little dot of glue, and one kind of up here by the Y, and another one down here. Okay, I find this method really easy. Okay, now I'm going to take this. He's going to sit right there. And I have a little bit of glue coming out. So just take your pick tool and just clear some of that glue away if you need to. And then this little dude is coming in here. And then this one, I can already tell there's too much glue here. So I'm just gonna blot it. I have a napkin handy here from earlier. Just pull up some of that glue. There we go. Then it won't come oozing out and you're in control of it. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, so there are my little hearts. We have 2 more details yet to go. And that is, you have in your packet there, you may have, everybody has a blue and a turquoise. You might have a green and you might have a red, okay? So these are from the In Color In Color Baker's Twine pack. So see how easy things came together? In Color ink pads, In Color glimmer paper, In Color basic twine. So if you have the green, use the green. You might have the sweet sorbet. I was using them up. Okay, we're gonna use that. And then everybody has a sampling of the glossy dots. And these are in the annual catalog as well. We're gonna use these 3 red ones on this card here. Okay, so take your twine and make 2 bunny ears and tie a bow. My bow is a little out of control here. It's very much out of control. Okay. Oh, great, Kat. I'm glad you like where this card is going. I thought it turned out pretty fun. Okay, so there's my bow. Maybe grab the ends. They're not quite even, not at all. Even them up. Okay. I just trimmed it over my garbage pile. And now let's put a dot on our bow here. That's not where it's going to go, but that way you could see. Let me see. Oh, great. I don't have any glue dots with me. What was I thinking? All right. Well, we'll do it with just a little bit of glue. We'll do the real deal. Okay, so a dot of glue. Now, I'm going to tuck this under, and rather than getting caught up on the pocket or anything, I'm going to keep the glue face up. Lift up your flower, and it's just going to tuck in there. Okay, so just tuck that in there. Take your pick tool, and just that way you know it's going to be secure, but it's not going to affect the pocket mechanics at all. Okay, and then just kind of, wiggle it that way. Say you're going to go over here. And now you can see that this is where I've added my red glossy dots here. And I'm going to turn my take your pick tool. I like this other side. You guys, I have 2 take your pick tools and I use them both all the time. Okay. One of them has the brush end for, brushing, sweeping out the big chunks of, when you're doing die cutting. And then I use this one for the putty end. And there's replacements for the putty end, just FYI. Okay, so here's my second red, and now the third red. Come on. Gonna come just right down over here. Okay, so now the inside is finished. Yes, the card is finished on the inside. The front, however, has a little bit more action happening. And that is, we're going to use the purple glossy dots on our card here. As I kind of fold this shut, there's 1, 2, 3. So they're kind of, they're not like in your face. They're just kind of a nice subtle addition. And so I've got the weight. Boy, these do not like to come off. That's almost easier than the take your pick tool, right? So these are just kind of helping the physical weight of all over here. So now I'm just adding a little bit more of that visual, physical, whoops, hey, get over here. Weight to the front, to the left side of the card, or to my, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, I'm gonna bring in my favorite tool of all. It just does the job. I just didn't have it sitting in quite the right spot where I wanted it. Okay, that was the largest. Now I'm going to take the smallest, kind of add it here. And now I'm going to put the medium size down in here. right there. Okay. Then the whole thing, she's here, she's in the house, you know it. Stella. I'm going to give the whole thing a nice, so just give her, you know, give her a good shake and, well, actually prime it, get it going. And this one may be on its, I've filled it like 4 times with alcohol, with rubbing alcohol. You've seen me do that, right? This one I think is, oh, and I think this one's pretty dry as well. Anyhow, you're going to give it a squeeze, and then you're going to give her a flick so that you get some good sparkle and shine on all this. And I even did go through and give the paint of Wink of Stella, especially on the Starry Sky. It's really going to show up. Mine's just not quite so juicy. I need to go through and either rejuice them. You can rejuice your Wink of Stellas. You've seen me do that several times, but after a while, they really are, there's no more of that little micro glisten in that barrel any longer. And so that's when you really do need to say, she's done. Okay, so once you have all of that Wink of Stella and all pretty, take your 2 bows and just go ahead and train. I kind of like to put my bow off to the side just a little bit. But go ahead and tie your bow. Okay. The nice thing, this is a polyester ribbon that holds shape really well, and it's amazing that the wrinkles come out of it. So, I mean, if I left this one untied and just kind of finger pressed it, in a couple hours, it would be completely flat. So it's an amazing ribbon. So there you have it. There's our first Around the Bend card with the flowers and more. I think this is just such a cool set of dies. I really, really like them. Okay. And I really like that, that we added, so a little different from my original, is adding that tiny little bit of detail of stamping in there. Okay. It wouldn't have been doing my job if I didn't show you how well that coordinated and how easy it is to work with it. Thank you, Tandra, for your comment. Thank you, Jacqueline. Moving right along, here comes my favorite one we're going to do. They're all my favorites. Kind of like your dogs and your kids, right? Thanks, Lynn. Okay, so this one here, I love the way this card turned out. Absolutely love it. Okay, so again, this is more of the flowers and more, but this is how the card functions. You're going to open, it's a bifold card, and pants have pockets. Why not cards? And there's the pocket. Okay, but look how cool. I mean, it's kind of unexpected that we're going to have this punch of color when we open this up. So Marcia says, yes, gorgeous. I overlooked the set, but have to have it now. Doris says, I love the stamp set and the dies and your cards. Well, you guys, I just, I saw it and immediately went, I really like that. I did not get the curvy dies that we had a while ago and was kind of bummed I didn't. And so when I saw these and the added feature of the florals and the leaves, I went, oh yeah, there we go. Okay, so this one, we have some of the prep work done and some we're gonna have to do because we're gonna be doing some painting. And I think that's one of my favorite things to do is to create paper and then die cut. So that's what we're gonna do. So let's see what we're gonna need for this card. Bring your whole stack in and grab everything from Tahitian Tide up, okay? And then paper-wise, we are going to need, we don't need that, We're just gonna use one piece of paper, and it's this one that is parakeet and shaded spruce, and then tempting turquoise. Tahitian Tide on this side. Tempting turquoise, you guys remember tempting turquoise? I still have a file for it. In fact, Tahitian Tide is in the tempting turquoise file. Sorry, I had to get a drink. Yeah, I'm terrible. My papers, you know, I have Starry Sky in Midnight, where the Midnight Misty Moonlight was, which is actually where Blueberry Bushel was, and it's still labeled Blueberry Bushel. But I have my own system, you guys. I mean, are you guys the same way, or do you have it all labeled nice and neat? Nope, I'm a wreck. Just let me stamp with the stuff. I don't want to organize it. I just want to play with it. Okay, I'm doing just a little bit of cleaning up so I can find all my pieces. So I'm not going, where did I put my... So if I ask, the little gems are up on my stand. Okay, all right. Moving right along. Alicia says she got the dies and the stamps. Okay, she loves it. And she likes the colors we're using. Well, the colors, it was like... I think what's so refreshing about the color palette is we've moved away from your wintry, Christmas and those sorts of things. So it's just fun to be in some bright, bright colors. I'm ready for that. Marcia's the same. She just wants to stamp, not to organize, I take it. Jolinda loves the colors. Good. Okay. So here we have it for this card. Let's just trim our piece of DSP. This trim is going to be, it's already 4 inches, okay? We are gonna make it 5.5. Even though it's 4, we're gonna make it 5.5, okay? I repeat, this piece is 4 by 5.5. Okay, so just trim off 1/2 inch. Okay, save it. You never know when we might be using it. Okay. Yes. Okay, Alicia, you're funny. Okay, so your card base, okay, we have a Tahitian tied card base, typical size, 5.5, 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. We also have a 5.5 by 8.5 basic white, scored at 4 inches. Yes, 4 inches. Remember that, it's not 4 1/4, okay? All right, so what's going to happen here is this 4-inch piece is going to lay inside the card, okay? And it's going to align with our Tahitian tied. That's why that's that way, okay? So sometimes there is a method to the madness. So we have some die cutting to do on both of these pieces. On both of these pieces, we are going to die cut. To me, this is the superstar. I mentioned that I felt the dies were the starring cast members of this bundle, and that the stamps were kind of, they were supporting characters. To me, this is the prima ballerina or the diva. This is the soprano, okay? So this is, to me, the star of the show is this piece right here. It really is a fabulous die. And I just love it. We're going to cut it twice. So on the Tahitian tied, it doesn't matter. Just flip it over, and we're going to die cut it. And you're going to die cut it, and we're going to take off a decent chunk here. So I'm going to die cut it and leave about, and I'm going to kind of, it's going to kind of have a little bit of bend. I have about 3/4 of an inch there. More like 5/8, and then I have maybe a full inch on this side here, okay? So Jacqueline, absolutely. Otherwise, I'd try to use the old curve set. You're right. So this one is, and I'll just mention, sometimes we see, they reintroduce or they remake, they revamp a set from previous years. Like we'll see a cottage rose year after year, right? Or a rainbow set year after year. So we're seeing a curvy die set. This is just the 2023 version. And so there it is. Now, if you have the curvy dies, you still get your curved die, pull out some leaves to kind of layer in there with it. That's how you use what you have and make it work. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna cut this one. Okay, can you see it's a little bit shorter there than there, okay? Run that through your Stampin' Cut and Boss machine or your Big Shot, whichever one you got going for you. And again, I really wish I had Post-it notes out here with me. I should probably just go get them, but I'm gonna make it work without. Okay, and you don't have to cut back and forth, but I'm going to just for, to be sure that it's really, really clipped out of there. Okay. And see how easily that cut? You know, sometimes we're like, oh, getting it all out, and then these come out like butter. Okay, there's our first cut. Look at that, super pretty. Save this, you never know when we're gonna use it. Okay, so here's our left flap. Now, this side here, we are going to do the same thing we just did, all right? And we're going to cut it pretty, about a 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna leave about a 1/2 inch on the bottom and a 1/2 inch on the top. All of this is left over. All of this is gonna get painted and become all of our leaves, okay? So I am all about using it wisely. So this is gonna go through the machine. Okay. Again, I just had to scrape off what was left over. You know, sometimes you have those hanging Chad pieces on your plate. Make sure all of those are gone so that you don't, I gotta get rid of these open ink pads over here. Okay, so that they don't add little embossed areas on your card. Okay. Again, I'm gonna go back and forth. I will say the pressure on the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine is superior to that of my Big Shot. So I get much cleaner cuts with the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine. Okay, we're done with that die for now. Wiggle this out, wiggle this out, wiggle this out. Okay, so now our card is gonna come together. So this becomes our card base. Okay, the white goes down first. We'll glue those together. However, this is gonna help the physical weight of that, okay? So why don't we just glue these together for now? Let me just kind of show you, okay? So this is where I'm gonna put glue on this. I'm gonna put glue on this curved section right here. Nowhere else. And you don't need a ton. There's that. And to make this actually work smoothly, I'm gonna set the piece inside here and I'm gonna shut this and it will actually, and then I'm gonna pick it up. And the reason I'm gonna shut it and pick it up is because then that way, let me wiggle it up just a little bit. That way I have just a little bit of that gap and it's not getting caught up on the score line there, okay? So it folds freely and it doesn't buckle or anything. Now I'm gonna flip this over and give this a good score. Why did I flip it over? Because sometimes my bone folder might have glue or something on it and I would rather that be sandwiched on the inside of the card where you're not gonna see it. Okay, so this piece is going to go on here like so. But before I put it on, I'm gonna put a little engagement hole in there. And let me show you how I'm gonna get this engagement, that little notch, how I'm gonna get that aligned just perfect, right in the center. I'm gonna take my card base here and I am going to, so we know that this is 5 1/2. Half of 5 1/2 is 2 3/4. Okay, and I'm just gonna do a tiny little slit at 2 3/4. And that tiny little slit tells me where center is. So hopefully you guys can see that. It tells me where center is, and now I can take a little bite out of that and center, because it's easier to center off that than to try and center my punch. And yes, I'm using an old whale tail punch from years ago. But there you have it. There's that engagement notch for your pocket. And now we'll glue this together, but we just want to put glue. We don't need to glue the whole thing because it is a pocket. So let me show you where your glue is going to be. You're going to glue here and here and here. Come on. Okay, so there's that. Now, set this right on that edge. Okay, so I'm kind of right up there. There you have it. So now what I like is that the reason I made this 4, 1, so that it didn't buckle when you have this bifold, but because my paper was only 4 inches, the two align. And so I don't have a white strip right there. So that was kind of I like to give you a little bit of my thought process of why I've done something. Jacqueline, it'd be nice if they carried over, but I have mine, so I'm not letting them go anytime soon. So this is now the structure or the base of my card, okay? It is a bifold card. I think you're gonna see this layout again. Maybe not necessarily with these 2 dies, but I really like the idea of creating this bifold and getting a fun use out of the designer series paper. Sometimes it doesn't work with the designer series paper because the one side to the inside, they might go together, but they're not really what your card is about. So, but this one worked. And so that's why my leaves, that's why I carried in a lot of that shaded spruce. And people go, shaded spruce? I know it's not where I would have gone, but it is where I went because the paper told me where to go, so to say. Okay, so we have a lot to do here. You have 2 circles. Let me tell you why you have 2 circles. The reason you have 2 circles is the second circle is for lining your first circle. And what I wanted to do is by the time I had all these leaves and things glued on, I didn't want to see them on the back side of the circle. So I have a second circle in there covering all of those, okay? So that's why you have 2. So let's stamp 1 with the just wanted to say thanks. And our key color for this card, our greeting color, is going to be shaded spruce. Now you could use Tahitian tide if you wanted, but use shaded spruce if you'd like. And stamp 1 of your circles with the just wanted to say thanks. And I'm going to put that right in the middle. What happened to my shaded spruce? It's a good thing I have 2 circles because I know I used shaded spruce. It's like, and I just juiced it up. How come it's not juicy? So I'm going to stamp on this one again just to see if oh, there, it's much darker. Now you're going, don't use that one. I'm not going to use this one. This one will be in my lining. I just didn't ink up my stamp very well. Okay, so make sure it's good and juicy. Stamp that right on the front. Oh, much better. Much, much better. And now we're going to glue this one to the back of this one. But what I want you to do, and see now that won't show. I'm just going to, and I just smudged it. Shoot, queen. Arr. Okay, sometimes when you first smudge something, a sanding eraser will work. But I'm smudging other things. I digress. Okay, I'm going to just glue half of it together because I want to have access. There go the dogs. I want to have access into there so I can slip all those leaves in there and have that as a liner. Okay, so there is that. Now what we need to do is get our pieces going for all of our decorations. I'm going to shut this pad for now because you can see it does crazy things. I'm also going to shut some other pads that were open. Just tidying up the ship here so I don't put anything in through it. With your parakeet, give it a squeeze. We're going to collect some ink in there, in the lid, right? Hello. I can only open these one direction. Okay, so I've got some ink in there. And you know, I shut my shaded spruce, but I'm going to use my shaded spruce for some ink. I'm not going to use a lot, but I am going to use some. Okay, I'm going to kind of get some things out of the way before I wreck something. But we need to make some paper here that we can use for all of our leaves. In fact, we're going to make enough that we have some for our next project as well. So with your water painter, go ahead, get your water painter flowing. Okay, so you might want to have a paper towel or a rag on hand, okay, whichever, whenever you're working with some watercolor. But get this moving, get this, and we're just going to paint. I'm just doing a quick wash here of the green. And once I get it really wet, you can see I'm getting the whole thing going. Okay, I need some more color. So I'm gonna build up some more of the green, but I've got a little too much water in here. So I'm just gonna dry that for a second so that I can squeeze my pad again and get more ink. Or you could even use a block and just touch your block to the ink pad to get some ink. Okay, and now I'm gonna pick this up and I'm just gonna kind of drop in areas. Okay, just drop more of this parakeet. Once I have enough of that going, I'm gonna do just a little bit of the shaded spruce. Go easy on the spruce because you don't want it to take over, okay? But just do a little bit of it and let it just kind of, see how it's just kind of floating around? We're just making some pretty paper. I really like what's happening right in here. So maybe I'll add just another dot and maybe create another green. I just made a new green over here. Okay, just have some fun kind of tipping the inks all around. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my heat tool here. So I may have left that off the list of supplies, but you just have your heat tool. This is kind of like a trimmer score. Have it on hand so that you have it to use. I'm just going to, unlike when I'm working with watercolor paper and I want it to be really flat, sometimes you want your paper, you want to dry it a little faster. Sometimes with watercolor paper, I want it to dry naturally. And we talked about that last week, how to have smooth watercolor paper. But this time I'm using the heat tool. I like to chase the water, move it around. Okay, so once I have this, this is not 100% dry, but it's pretty dry for right now. I'm going to add a little bit more color. Maybe not quite in the same spots, but I might build up a little color in some of the areas, just so that we have some highs and some lows. And that we have some variation in these greens so that it's not just all pale, pale. Plus, I don't want them too light, but just add in a little bit more color. Again, I'm going to chase it. Chase it meaning I'm going to kind of move the little puddles around with my heat tool. Okay, so I'm going to work on getting this good and dry because I can't put it through the Stampin' Cut Emboss machine wet, or it's just going to rip the paper. I'm gonna flip it over. Get it good and dry on the back side. Back to the front. Okay, it's dry. In fact, it's toasty hot. But now you can see, I mean, it's not a work of art, but it's going to become a work of art. But it's just interesting. And I have, you know, it'll make the leaves a lot more organic. That seems to be my word of the day lately, organic. I just like it. I think it's really cool. This spot right here is still really wet. Let me get that corner done because I'm going to need it all. Okay, get that plate out of here. Now, before I do any die cutting, I have one last step to make this interesting. That is, I'm going to use, I know it doesn't look like it, but this is my light shaded spruce Stamp and Blend. And I'm just going to flick the whole page. Okay. Just give it a good splatter effect. Maybe just a little bit more, because you never know where your dies are going to land. And now this is what I'm going to use to die cut. Look at all these leaves we're going to do. Okay, we have a bunch of leaves inside, and we have one little one on the inside as well. Okay, so we've done some of our die cutting. It was prep work for you guys. And so you were to cut out of your Tahitian Tide glimmer paper 9 of the flowers. So there's those 9 flowers. And now we have a whole bunch of leaves and things to cut out of this. And so here's what we're going to do. I am going to actually just cut. Let me bring my dies in here. So you know me, I like these little, my dad gives me these little pots. I'm going to take the big guys out just so you can see what's going on here. Okay, so I'm going to grab every leaf die in the set, okay? Just grab them all. Maybe not this one. I have used this one, not on our cards today. This one's really little, but it is cool. But every other leaf die, we are going to cut it. We're going to go through and cut it, and then we're going to cut them again. In fact, you know what I'm going to do is with my paper here, I'm just going to give this cut right like that, and I'm going to put my paper like this, okay, and let me bring in my plate, and you can do 2 pieces of cardstock at a time. So let's just put our leaves on like this, and this will speed the process up just a little bit here. Just lay these on, but do you know, like cookies, we don't want to waste the dough, if you know what I mean. So move your pieces in there. So let's cut these out. And then we'll probably do it again. See if we have enough. Okay, just checking in with y'all, if you're with me. Because I normally don't do a lot of die cutting during the class, but like I say, kind of a different class today. Okay, so there's one. There's another one in there. When I'm on my desk, I just drop these from a high from up above, and the dies pop right out. The little papers pop right out. Do you guys ever do that? Just drop your dies down on your desk to pop them out? Okay, there's one there. But look how cool these leaves are. They're unique, they're different. And you've seen me paint, do a die cut and then, paint them after they've been cut. This is just another approach. There's a few more in here that we can use. There's that one. That. And you know, if you feel like you want them a slightly different color, you can always add a little bit more ink to them. Paint them a little bit more. Okay. And this one, I've got a little chunk right in there in the middle. There we go. Okay, there's that. I think let's do, I'm gonna cut some more of these. So I'm gonna cut one sheet worth. I'm gonna just kind of come in here and get some of these in here because I want this darker green to show as well. So I'm gonna do a couple more right there. I'm gonna run that through. And this is kind of how I work when I'm, you know, designing from the get-go, is I just cut a bunch of pieces. And then I play with it. Whoops. Stay on the paper. Okay. So I actually did, I cut every little last reserve spot and had all these leaves out that I could use because I was working on some other projects as well. So I just had tons and tons of leaves die cut. So that I had enough and I had some color variation as well. So I think I'll do this little guy one more time right in there. It just barely fits. In fact, I'm just going to cut the bottom off. Okay. Because I like the green right there in that section. It's a little darker. Okay, I think I have enough definitely for this card. Maybe even enough for our third card. Okay, there we have it. So I love these magnetic little dishes for holding your dies. They're perfect. Pop these in there as well. Okay, let me get the trash out of the way here. Okay, so now we can assemble this card and call it art. So we'll start with adding our greeting here. Okay, let me kind of scoot these over so you can see. And what I want to do is be sure that that I put my dimensionals in a spot that they're not going to show. Okay, I just got crumbs everywhere, like die cut crumbs. Have a big staticky mess. Okay, so what I mean is when I put this down, I'm going to put, I don't want any dimensionals, you know, on the back where it's going to show. So basically they're just going to be right here. So I'm going to do 1 and 2. That should be good. So add that. And it is kind of hugging over to the left and maybe down just a little bit more. I don't want it dead center. So there's that. Now I'm going to start, I think I'm going to start with my flowers. And I think I started with these two to begin with. So let's grab, let's see. So this is the in color glimmer paper that I've been talking about. What I haven't mentioned that it's in ombre paper. So you might have some darker and you might have some lighter. So on my original here, I've got some darker colors, but I can see here with the piece I have a little bit of a lighter. So it's kind of nice for some variation. So I'm going to start with that one right there. That's the largest of, there's, you know, you cut it 3 times. That was the largest. Now I'm going to take the second largest and add that in here. And I'm using mini dimensionals just on the back. And if it shows through, they're white, and I was totally okay with that. So I have those two. So those are kind of my anchor leaves. Now I'm going to move to, my anchor flowers, now to my leaves. And so this one here, I'm going to slip this because I don't want it to show it's gonna go between, remember we have those two circles that are, one's a lining and one is the greeting. It's gonna go between them. So it doesn't matter whether you put the glue on the back or the front, but just put a little dab of glue. And now be sure to, let me pick this up so if you guys can see it. I'm gonna kind of slide this around and it's between those two circles. And it's gonna come right up in here, okay? So that way it doesn't show on the back at all. That's what I'm going for. Okay, so behind this leaf, I have another flower and it looks like it's a big one. So grab yourself one of the larger, add a dimensional, and at the same time, grab that leaf there, okay? And I'm gonna put a little bit, and kind of work this, let me put a little glue on this one first, because it goes underneath the flower. So a little glue, I'm just gonna kind of play with these at the same time. I'm gonna tuck this one down in, and then this one come up and in between, just like so. Okay, and maybe tuck it in just a little further, but make sure that glue engages with the back side. And it looks like I have a small coming in here, a small flower. And it's going to just make sure your dimensional doesn't show, but it's just going to kind of finish. So kind of what I'm doing is working a spray that's coming from the top left and spraying down to the bottom right. Okay, now let's see. I'm going to use another one of these, and this one is going to tuck inside there, being sure to get it in between the sandwich of the circles. Okay, so you want it inside the lining so it doesn't show. We don't want to see the back side. We don't want to see those mechanics. So see, here's a really good look at it, and it's going inside there. Okay, there's that leaf. Looks like we have another one. And so this time I'm pulling up this shape. It doesn't really matter which shapes you use. Just have some fun creating a bouquet. Or in this case, really a spray. This one's going way in. It's kind of like that. Okay, you see where that one is? And again, look at the back, looks perfect. Now let's work this bottom area. Let me start with some flowers. I'll do a large. Okay. And this one, make sure that dimensional doesn't show, which mine does. So I'm going to roll it around to the other side. Good, now it doesn't show. There's that. And I have two more on the front here. One is going to kind of buddy up there, and then the last one is going to come down there. Okay? Okay, so this one right in there. Okay, we are nearing the end of this card. Just a few more things to do, a few more flowers. We're on the home stretch, folks. There's that. Okay, a few more leaves on the front. Get that out of there. So this leaf here, this one's going in between the two circles. And I'm kind of looking at how it's playing off of the white leaf underneath as well. And we have another one. So take another, it could be this one, it could be this one. It doesn't really matter. Just take another one of those. I'll take this one. A little glue, top or bottom, doesn't matter. You're gonna reach it inside the lining of the two circles, so in between the sandwich. Just tuck that way up and in there. Okay, and if I open this, I can see I have a little bit more action happening here. Take one more of your flowers. We're going to use all 9 of these. So this one, it's on this layer, but I want to see where it's going to, see on this one how it's peeking right through there. So it's right there. There's that one. And let's give these 2 flowers over here a little bit of greenery. So here's our greenery pieces. One up and one down. Okay, I've given that quite a bit of glue, so I'm just going to kind of grab some of that glue with this. So this guy is going to come in there like that. This one, like that. Okay, so the front needs some gems. So these are the glossy dots. I'm using the blue ones. I'm going to add one there. That was the large. And a medium. Oh, come on, don't stick. I want it up a little higher, right there. And then the last blue one is going to come right in there. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3. You would give this a wink of Stella and a piece of the Tahitian Tide twine, baker's twine. Tie it in a bow. Give it a glue dot on the knot. Okay, bows always look goofy before you start fixing them. I'm going to grab my ends, and they're pretty even. They're not too bad, but they're a little bit off. I'm going to even those out. Okay, make sure this bow looks good. Now I'm going to add a little dot of glue, or a glue dot. Hold your whole thing, just kind of come under your, get over here. And tuck that in there, and then just get it to engage. I think I'm going to roll it up, kind of move it up a little higher. There it is. Whoops, sorry folks. Just kind of, and there you have it. So there's the front, and again, this one shimmers with lots of Wink of Stella. But let's move to the inside. We have just a little bit of detail work to do in there. All right, the first thing we're going to do is do the You're a Blessing again. However, you can do it with the curve that it has. In fact, I'll probably do the curve as well. It kind of picks up on the curves of these. But you'll notice here that I stamped it straight. And all you have to do is just on your block is pick it up and kind of straighten it up if you want to do it that way. I think I'm going to keep it curved this time. But either way. Okay, ink it up, nice. Get it going really good. Right up here at the top. Okay, looking good. Splatter with a little bit of your shaded spruce blend. Just a little. And we'll do the last few pieces that we have. We have a small leaf and one small flower left for the inside. You know, I like to decorate the inside just as much as the out. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little flower there, and we'll tuck this under, but I'm gonna cut this little stem off. I just like them a little shorter sometimes. When something's so little, I don't want it hanging out too far. But there you have it. Okay. Maybe I'll roll this up just a little. Face it up. There we go. That's better. A little bit more whimsical. So you can do a straight greeting or you can arc it, whichever way you like. But there you have it. There is our Tahitian Tide. You're a blessing. Okay, just wanted to say thanks. You're a blessing. Okay, cool card. Cool card. Hope you like that one. I really, really like this one. Okay, I still have a couple of those leaves left. We may need to cut a few more for our last project here. And I really like our last project. It's super cool. You've noticed I added a envelope to your stack here because I wanted you to see how cool these dies work for adding a, for adding some decor to your envelope flap. I mean, look how cool that is. Send that in the mail, glue that shut. Yeah, I think that would be cool. So we're gonna need all of the rest of the pieces from your kit. You don't need that, that's trashiola. But these are the 2 pieces of designer series paper we're going to use. One for the inside, one for the front. I've already die cut some of my pieces, but I said to keep this scrap if you needed. But we have, and that was for painting more paper if you needed it, but it looks like we have enough with what's right here. So we should be okay, but we probably will need that. And obviously we have our greeting and we have all of our other pieces. Let's start with our greeting, okay? And so we're going to, there go the dogs, they gotta go bark. We're gonna use the I'm just so happy for you image. I'm going to clean it because who knows what I've used it for since. Make sure it's clean. And for this card, our ink colors are Starry Sky and Parakeet Party. So here's Parakeet Party. Here is, that's Orchid Oasis. Let me bring in Starry Sky. So I'm going to ink up the I'm just so. So we're just going to ink up half of the image. So Alicia, let me just check her comment here. Let me scroll up for a second. I love all the tips I have learned from you, like tying the bow and flicking with blends. Thanks so much. You bet. That's what we're here to do, right? Is learn from one another. Okay. Oh, so sad. Bosco, go outside. He's so funny. So I'm just inking up the I'm just so. And I'm going to put this over to the right just a little bit. The so doesn't seem to have quite enough ink on it, I can see. So I'm just grabbing just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm putting this, it's off to the right, but not totally to the right. I'm just so. Ta-da! That looks good. Clean it and dry it, okay? Because we're going to stamp, and we want to make sure we don't have any residual there. Now, let's get the happy for you. Okay. And stamp that just right underneath. The nice thing is we have the photopolymer here, and so we can see exactly what we're doing. Good, looking good. Now I'm also going to stamp, if you look at all the detail in here, we're going to stamp some of these smaller images. And they're just going to kind of be random, but if you remember the first card we did was kind of random as well. So, but once we start adding the leaves, they'll all kind of tie together. So I am going to use the small little, this is kind of like a little berry spray. And I'm going to use the 2 little leaves that we haven't used. These are small little solid leaves. Kind of some interesting pieces that they've given us in this stamp set. So I'm going to use this curved leaf, and this stamp curves to the left. So this first one that's curving to the left, and I'm just looking at my original here. I'm doing this top one right there. Okay, so it looks like it's right about over here. We're faking it. Now I'm going to fill that right next to it with the little berry spray. And this one's going to kind of come in like right there. There's that one. And now I'm going to put the leaf that curves to the right next to it. So I kind of like it when they give us a curve to the left, curve to the right. Okay, bring this in right about there. Okay, so there's that little business. And it looks like I have some more over here. So here's the right one again. It's kind of up in here. And then I have, you can't see it, but there's a left one right next to it. And who cares if it's not exactly the same? It's handmade. Okay, and this one, I'm going to kind of go opposite of that other one, right in there. Okay, it's kind of like blind stamping because you're putting in pieces and elements before you really know where to put them. Okay, now we have some die cutting we did ahead of time. You have a bunch of the daisies that you should have in the white. So you should have 2 of the large and you should have 6 of the white. Okay, is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You might need to cut a couple more. Okay, little funny. And you have a bunch of, so here's more of that glimmer paper. So you guys, you've seen almost every color of the glimmer paper. This is the Starry Sky. The only color we haven't used is the Orchid Oasis. And that's because I didn't have any more Orchid Oasis, or I would have. Okay, so we have lots of pieces here, and it's kind of the same thing that we've done before. We're just going to start to assemble these. So it looks like I'm going to do a little bit more die cutting. I'm going to grab my piece of white, and I'm going to run through my trio flower on here, run that one through one more time. And now let's run through and grab this guy. We need like 3 of these. Okay, 3 of these, and that's it. So 3 of this die here, and we'll do 1 of the flowers. Okay, so much to do. Okay, let's see if we can run these through at the same time. Yeah. Okay, here's my flowers. Whoops, they're stuck to the plate. There's one. Okay, there's that. And let's see here. Okay, there's these. And leaf-wise, now you see why I like to have these done ahead of time, why I give you prep work. But that's what makes these cards so much more fun and interesting, is when we really take a deep dive and use everything thoroughly, you know, really get to see how to put things together. For fancy over-the-top cards. Don't get me wrong, I like some simpler ones, but I love over-the-top. Okay, so I'm going to do one more of these. All right, we should be fully die cut out. Lots of pieces, but I just think it's super pretty. Pretty cool. I'm going to shut my ink pads. We are done with them for now. We are not done die cutting though, folks. I'll just let you know. We have a couple more to do. Not littles, but big stuff. Okay, but I am going to put all my die cuts back in that little magnetic dish. That way I don't lose any. So now this is going to be the same thing we did with our first 2 cards, and that is just to create some fun bouquets. And I'm going to start again with my anchor images. And to me, my anchor images, or my anchor elements, are going to be these 2 daisies. And once I have those placed, I can kind of work my other details off of that. Okay, so taking your daisies, and the first one is down in here. And so I'm just going to kind of reach it up in and have that little berry spray come up and out. And then this one is, and I'm going to rotate it to make sure it's not the same direction as this one, but it's kind of diagonal of that up by the I'm. Okay, this time, different with these, I am going to grab all 3 of these at the same time. I'm going to try. And I'm going to put a mini on each of these instead of just glue. Okay, so this one, I'm just playing with the dimension on this card. So a little different than the first two where we've glued. And I prefer dimensionals. I don't get sticky with them, if you know what I mean. Okay, and so we have a leaf here. Again, trying to make sure that that little spray shows. It might get covered up a little bit, but not entirely. We'll put one in there. Whoops. And this one. Now, I see how it's coming around. I want to make sure that it's not at the same angle as this one. So just kind of check yourself. Make it a little bit more interesting. May have to turn this one just a little bit. Okay, yes, that's better. See, I didn't want them both facing the exact same, like the leaves are saluting, which, you know, that just doesn't happen in nature. Okay, so I've got this guy coming in here and one in here, right? But one of these I'm going to trim down because it's just bigger than what I need. So I'm going to trim that one down. A little glue on the back. Okay. And I'm going to tuck this right up in there. Cool. I like that. And then I have a blue, and I have a lighter blue. So I'm going to do a lighter blue since I have one. Tucked right up in here, like so. Okay. Get over here. All these little pieces. So, do you guys have any wild and crazy plans for the weekend? What is on your list of things to do? There's that. We have a white flower in here and a white flower over here. I'm going to do that big one there since I picked that one up. This one is kind of the medium size. And you know what? I actually glued some of these on this time. There's a town not too far from here. It's about 2 hours away called McCall. And they have a big old winter festival Mardi Gras that starts this weekend. And they have all these, not sand castles, but ice castles built. I kind of want to drive over and see them. They look so pretty. Okay, so this one, I'm going to kind of set it right. Oh, hello. I did not want to do that. Okay, set this one right there. And we have a little bit of leaf action happening in here. No one's doing anything this weekend? You have to be doing something fun. Take a little bit more leaves here. So on the very first card that we did when we had this bigger daisy, we put the kind of oval piece inside, right? Well, this time we are going to put flowers inside these two daisies. When I came up with that, you know, when I didn't come up with it, I'm sure others have as well, but when I figured it out, I was like, oh, I really like that. So I was really liking how that turned out. So I have a flower right in here, and I'm going to put this one on with a dimensional, a mini. Church on Sunday. You need some quiet time. I understand that. I too have church on Sunday. So I'm going to do a flower right in there. And I'm going to glue another one. I'm going to put one on the glue level, if you know what I mean, just to change up the dimension here. I'm going to put that one right under there. Okay, on my original, it's kind of tucking out, but I need to fill that space. And let's save one flower for the inside. And then this flower here, I don't have it on my original, but my stamping turned out different. So I'm going to put a flower There. How many more of those little guys do I have? Oh, there they are. I'm like, wait, where did they all go? So I'm going to glue one there. Just a little on the back here. Okay. Now let's take, and you can take any size, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to take, I'm going to do a small, kind of a medium and a big. And what I want to do is I'm just going to kind of curl them just a little bit in the palm of my hand. Okay, just so that these edges pop up just a little bit. A little bit of glue here and there. And I'll do this one right there. So there's the center of that flower. Super cute. Same thing, maybe curl it in your hand just a little bit. Or pull it with your fingers. You could also use your bone folder, but it might be a little too much to use your bone folder. A little glue here. Add that one on. And of course, I colored the leaves. I mean, not the leaves, but I colored the flowers with Wink of Stella. I don't know if that really shows, but you can add some Wink of Stella. You have one last piece of baker's twine in your pack there. This is the this is actually the Orchid Oasis that I have. You might have Orchid Oasis. If yours is darker, you might have the Starry Sky. They both work. That's what's so cool about the coordination that Stampin' Up! Has, that they give us. Okay. It's kind of like the Garanimals of stamping. Remember Garanimals? I noticed, because not that I shop for kids' clothes very often, but I noticed Walmart has Garanimals still. Okay, a little bit of glue on the knot. And I'm going to lift up, and it's just going to tuck under this white flower here. Okay, get in there. Just kind of open up that bow, and there it can sit. You know, you can kind of, I'm going to wiggle it around just a little bit on an angle. There you have it. Okay, so this was the hardest part of our card. Okay, keep that stuff nearby. Let's put some dimensionals on this. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And that, whoops, I'm not even ready with my card base. Usually we have our card bases done. Hello. Okay, really easy though. For this card base, we're going to use the stripe on the front. What is the back side of this paper? Okay, so this is a case where the back side doesn't match the front side, and you really don't want, I mean, at least I don't want to show both of those colors or those sides, but usually the back side works great. Okay, 5.5. So just take off 1/2 inch, save that, you never know when we're going to use it. And we're going to glue it to the front of our card base all the way over for a right justification. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this card, with this pattern paper, but it doesn't fit this color palette that we're working with on the front. Okay. So we have a little bit of a border here on the left side with our card base, keeping it easy. Now this is ready to add to the front. Okay, let me bring my original in and see where we're going. So we're over to the side a bit. I just really like this card. I like how it turned out. Okay, you know, you might have to play with your bow a little bit, which I can see I need to do. Okay, and when I mean play with it, I feel like my loops are too long. So anyway, so play with that. Even up your ends. They're close, but they're not right. So just give them a trim. Okay. And now for the last of our gems, they are on the front here. and you'll notice they're yellow. And that yellow is just not quite right. So what I'm going to do is take my blend, and we'll try a couple different blends. So you could use Granny Apple, but so the pool party's not going to show up whatsoever. So let's take our shaded spruce. And let's just tone this yellow down, and that's exactly what this does. I don't know if you can see the difference. Let me put a piece of white paper under here, but you can see the difference. See, the yellow is just not quite right for our card, but it's close, but no cigar. So I'm just using that light shaded spruce. You could use Granny Apple. There's all kinds of colors, but just give your glossy dots a little bit of Stampin' Blend. Let those dry, and once they're dry, that ink color is not going anywhere. But now I feel that this color is a little more in keeping with our color palette than the yellow. So don't let the colors of your accents, scare you off. Okay, so let's take this big guy, and we will add him here. And then I'm going to take the littlest one, and they're going to be buddies over here on this side. Then we'll do the middle sized right up in here. Okay, so there is the front. Of course, Stella got a flicker everywhere. Now let's quickly take a look at the inside of our card. Okay, so there's not a lot happening here. All you have to do is glue this piece to the inside. And this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I didn't even stamp on this one. I left it blank intentionally so that you had plenty of space to sign a message of why you're so happy for whoever gets the card. Okay, so there's that. But we put a pocket, pants have pockets, why not cards? Here we go, we're gonna put the pocket in for this card. And so we're gonna use this piece here. And this piece is 4 by 6. Let's take our superstar die here, and let's cut the corner off, okay? And then we'll trim off the bottom how much we need to trim off. But I'm just it's not gonna go right in the corner. Well, I guess you could go right in the corner like that if you wanted. So you play with how you wanna put it on. But if you want it to go all the way across, you want that stitching, then I'm gonna go like that. Run that through your Big Shot or your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And then we'll glue this on as a corner pocket. I'm die cutting my opposite hand. My die cut machine is usually to the left of me, except for when I'm doing a live video, it's to the right. So it's a little funky. Okay, so there's my die cut piece. And so that's gonna come in here. And I'm gonna bring it all the way down, okay? So you just decide how much you need to trim off, okay? So I think what I'm gonna do is this is gonna be real scientific here. I need to cut off that much. And so I literally marked it with my fingernail. Did you guys ever do that? That's how much. So I'm taking off not quite a 1/2 inch. Okay. Now, and you can see mine's a slightly different, I'm not the exact same size, but that's okay. This is a cute side of the paper too. Look how cute and fun that is. Okay, so I'm doing the bottom and the sides where it's straight, and the rest I'm gonna leave so that you could tuck something in there. Maybe you tuck a photo or gift card or money. But there's the pocket. And let's add just a little, excuse me, a little bit of added decor to the inside of our card. Remember I said keep these, you never know when we're gonna use them. So I'm gonna use the turquoise or the Tahitian Tide. This was from one of our second card. So this is just a 4 by whatever 1/2 inch. So here's a little strip there. Use up those pieces. And I even gave you, it needed one more element. So in your pack, you have a sliver of paper here. It is such a teeny tiny sliver. I don't think I've ever sent this small a piece of paper in a kit before. Give a little bit of glue to that. And you know what? I am going to just scrape some of it off so it doesn't come oozing out. And go ahead and put this right on that edge. And you could put it on top of the turquoise, or you could leave a little space like I'm gonna do. Okay, even though I wiped some of that glue, I still managed to get some all over the place. Oh, da-da. Now, we'll just trim that end right off. Okay, little surgery. And you can see we have just a few more pieces left here that we haven't added to the front. And they're gonna go in just like that. Or you could even do, if you didn't wanna do the that, you've got that. So it's really up to you. Just have some fun. So let me just add these pieces in here. And I'm gonna glue because it's the inside. And of course I got a lot of glue. So we'll just borrow some of that. There's that piece, and that. And then we'll just take this last little flower and be done. Oh, Marcia, you're fun. She understands why I like the set. I just thought it was a cool set. Sometimes some sets you think, oh yeah, that's gonna be great. And you get it and you're like, my brain just isn't working. And other times it just, the creative mojo is flowing. Kind of like all the glue that's flowing out right now. Okay, well, I got a lot of glue right there. So let me just do a little pat. Okay, there you have, I did that and more glue came out. It's a good thing it dries clear, right? And there you have it. There is our third card. And I'm just gonna talk you through the envelope because we did the very thing we needed to do at the very, very beginning of class with the purple and the white. So you're going to glue this in place, okay, with just a little bit of glue, okay, because you've already die cut your envelope while as part of your prep work. You're gonna do just a little bit of glue. And I thought, well, I'll be smart. I'll just, get this wet and use that. Don't do that. It will turn a funny color. I tried that. It just didn't work. So use just a little bit of glue like we did the first time and glue in your Orchid Oasis piece of paper. And once you have that glued in, you're gonna go all the way to the fold there. Once you have that glued in, you're gonna take your arced die and come right up. I mean, literally this time, you're gonna take those, the bumps of the scallops and bump it right up against the white and it'll cut beautifully, okay? And that's how you will get this. And I would do it, but we're about 10 minutes overtime. So I'm just gonna, you guys are so smart and I'm sure you know how to do that. So, and we've already gone over it, but look how cool it is. Make your own envelopes, beautiful. So I am just so happy for you, for each of you, for being here today, for stamping along with our Around the Bend bundle class. We have done our Starry Sky, our Tahitian Tide, and our Fresh Freesia. These are all fancy folds with lots of fun details. Do come next week. We will be making some simpler cards using the Key to My Heart paper pumpkin stamp set, that whole kit. So it's going to be a fun class as well. I will catch you all in a week or tomorrow night. Be here again on Zoom. We will have a good time. We'll have a Zoom session. It won't be a Facebook Live, but it'll be nice to actually chat with you. So come pop in. You don't have to stay the whole time. Just pop in, say hello, what's going on. Or maybe there was a part of the card that you missed and you need to see it. I'll be doing them again tomorrow night. All right. So Thank you so much for being here. Jacqueline says, thank you for this wonderful inspiration. I haven't used these new colors as much. So, yeah, well, and we've almost had them a year. So, and I haven't used them as much either. But this was this Flowers and More kind of took me there. So good luck with that, folks. I will catch you tomorrow night, 6:30 on Zoom, 6:30 Mountain Time. So San Jose folks, that's 5:30. Everybody else, I'm not sure. It's 7:30, 8:30. Anyway, have fun. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.